Alejandra Juarez was deported to Mexico on August 3rd, 2018, 2 months ago approximately, after living in America for more than 20 years. She's married to a U.S. Marine, has two American-born children, and no criminal record. Alejandra joins me today to talk about her situation, how she was deported, and trying to come back to America, but also trying to survive in a country that is basically foreign to her now. She hasn't been there in more than 20 years. And also to discuss being separated from her family. It's a very, very sad situation. Welcome, Alejandra. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Mr. Brad. How are you?
Good, good. So you were deported in early August. You boarded
Correct.
a plane alone.
Mm-hmm.
You left two U.S. citizen daughters and a United States citizen husband who was in the Marines behind. Can you possibly describe how you felt?
You know, I think when my dad passed away 36 years ago, I thought that was the worst moment of my life. But that day, as I was arriving to Mexico, I prayed to God to let me die. You know, I kept praying for my airplane to fall off, or for something to happen so that I wouldn't stay in Mexico, because to me it was unthinkable.
Were there any family or friends when you got there to help support you?
I don't have anybody.
You have
here,
nobody
sir.
here. So when you
No,
so when you got off the plane, what did you do?
Forward is an organization that they knew someone here in Merida, an American lady that lives here. So they sent Cindy to wait for me at the airport.
And who is Cindy?
She's an American lady that's retired and she lives here in Merida.
Okay. So you hoped and prayed the plane was going to crash. You were leaving your
Yes.
entire life and family behind to a country you basically don't know.
Correct.
It's 2 months now. How did you mentally survive that you're still talking to us today? I mean, you were really considering suicide.
Well, you know, I have my little one here with me, and she gives me strength. She's very positive, and you know, I have my moments where I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm no longer, you know, suicidal. I'm no longer thinking, okay, I wish I would have died or something, because I know that I have two little kids that needs me, you know, and you know, I don't want to cause more pain on them, but I still live with the guiltiness of, you know, I've seen them suffering because
Sure.
of something that I did 22 years ago.
Before they were even born.
That's right.
Right.
Mhm.
So now, Estrella, that's your younger daughter, she came to stay with you, and I understand why. She's giving you support, giving you a reason to wake up every morning. Why did your older daughter, Pamela, stay back in Florida? And why is your husband and their dad also in Florida still?
Well, you know, Mexico is a beautiful place, but you know, it's hard to earn a living in here. The salaries are really bad. My husband has been the main provider of my family for, you know, over almost 18 years. You know, he doesn't want to move to Mexico because you know, he says that he doesn't want my kids to financially struggle. I mean, they're already struggling with all this that's going on. And then on top of that, financially struggle. And we have a house over there too. So, you know, we keep hoping that one day I can, you know, come back and you know, we all can be together in our house.
What is it about the violence that I understand you don't want anyone to know what city or town you are actually living in Mexico?
When I arrive, I have a lot of media waiting for me here in Mexico, Mexican media. So everybody knows that my husband voted for Donald Trump. And here they hate Donald Trump.
Right.
For obvious reasons. I'm afraid that some narco drug dealer or just any ordinary person that hates Donald Trump might want to take, you know, repercussions because he voted for Donald Trump and want to harm, you know, my husband.
What made your husband vote for Donald Trump?
He's a military guy, and you know, majority of military people are Republicans.
Right.
You know, when Donald Trump was running for president and he started, you know, doing his campaign and all that stuff, I told my husband, I'm like, you know, you're a Republican, but you're not going to vote for this guy, right? Because look how he's talking. And my husband said, oh no, he doesn't really mean it. And you know what? I told him, I said, well, he said he's going to deport bad hombres.
He actually means it. Your husband's also Mexican American, I understand. I'm literally flabbergasted to hear that a Mexican American would vote for Donald Trump. On his first day of campaigning, he said, we have to throw all the Mexicans out of here because they're all rapists. And I can't imagine, I'm Jewish, I can't imagine if Donald Trump on his first sentence on his campaign said, throw all the Jews out of America, they're all rapists, that I would want to vote for him.
We have had a lot of marital problems because of that. I asked him many times. He doesn't give me a straight answer.
Is he sorry now that he lost his wife?
I mean, I know he's in a lot of pain right now. Right. I can see it. He's devastated by all this, but he thinks that he's going to improve the economy, and he has improved the economy. And I told him, I said, just because you might make $2 more an hour, your wife, I'm not there.
He lost his family. And it is directly as a result of the policies of Donald Trump. Because in the past, all the past presidents, if you honorably served in the military, they weren't going to deport a wife who didn't have a criminal record of somebody who honorably served in the military. Even if that wife broke the law, which you did, and we'll get into it in a minute. But they don't do that, and Donald Trump does.
You're absolutely right, and I'm not the only one. Here where I am, there's a lot of people like me, military wife, military husbands being deported.
So how old were you when you decided to leave Mexico to come to the United States of America?
I was barely 18.
What was the struggle in Mexico? You're 18 years old. I assume you were in school, or you never went to school?
My father passed away when I was 6 years old. So my mom was left with 6 kids to take care of. So when I finished middle school, my mom said, I can no longer afford you to go to school, even if it was a public school. So pretty much I had all these dreams and nobody to help me because my mom said, I can afford you transportation to go to high school. So I started working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, trying to save money so that I could go to high school just to pay for my transportation. And I was not able to because on top of that, I had to help my mom to pay the bills.
You were desperate to leave?
Yes, sir. There was no future for me. And where I'm from in Mexico City, it's full of violence and kidnappers and they rob you. And if you're a teenager, it's just horrible. I mean, I'm here in Mexico, but I haven't seen my mom because I'm afraid to go there.
So I guess you saved enough money to figure out who to pay to get you across the border. How did that all work out?
So I couldn't save for that because that's very expensive. So my family member, he pretty much paid for the whole thing.
And tell me about the experience. I guess it's called the coyote who runs you across the border. Can you describe what happened when you met the coyote? How did he get you across the border from Mexico?
That's how my ordeal started because there was two American guys, Caucasian guys. They live in the border and they say, well, we can cross you really easy. Since you don't know how to swim and you don't want to go through the desert, we have the perfect way to take you over there, which is just pretty much all you have to say is that you were born in the U.S., that you don't speak Spanish because your parents brought you when you were a baby, which is very typical for immigrants. And I was like, okay, are you sure I'm going to be able to just,
So they told you, we're going to walk you right up to the border, say you were born in the United States and brought back to Mexico when you were a baby.
Correct.
And
yes.
What proof did they give you for that story? Nothing, just your own statement.
Because before it was very easy, according to them, to just cross the border.
And what year was this? This was 98?
Yes.
Right. So what happened when you got there and you said this?
Well, when I got there, I was really nervous because my mom, she taught me not to lie. So I was really nervous and I was like, oh my God, this is wrong. So I guess the guy read me and he was like, okay, she's very nervous. He actually asked me for any documents and I said, well, no, I don't have anything and this is a lie and I'm sorry.
So as soon as you said it, you took it back. So I don't even know if legally that's even a false claim to U.S. citizenship, because if you say it and take it back right away, I believe there is case law to say that's not even a false claim to U.S. citizenship. So, okay.
They put me on a room and they further interviewed me. They wanted to get the names of the people that crossed me, that were trying to cross me over.
Right.
So to be honest with you, I didn't know the names because I don't know these guys. This is why my ordeal started. They gave me a bunch of papers and they say, okay, sign these papers, these documents. And I say, okay, these documents are in English, and I don't speak English. So could you have someone translate translate him. And the guy was with a broken Spanish. He says, well, either you sign these now, because I don't have time to waste it translating for you. So he was like, just sign and leave. And I said, okay, but I needed, what is this? And he's like, that's something that says that you're leaving. So I thought, okay, I just sign whatever he gives me.
That happens a lot, unfortunately. That's a violation of your rights. And certainly that happens a lot. You should understand what's going on. And certainly you're not the first person to tell me. The officer said, here, sign this and you can leave. Other than that, you're not leaving, basically.
Yeah, so I did sign those papers that I never know why they were, to be honest with you.
It was basically that you were admitting to probably, I don't have your file in front of me, but my guess is that you were admitting to making a false claim to U.S. citizenship and that they were deporting you. That's probably what happened. So you're back in Mexico. What happens next?
Well, then I was in the border, and the border is really dangerous, especially when you're a teenager by yourself. So my family members suggested, why don't you try to go back? So I did. After 2 or 3 days, we find another coyote there that brought me there.
And he brought you across the border.
Yes, and right. I never got caught or anything.
So you had actually 2 issues. One issue is that potentially a false claim to U.S. citizenship, and the second issue of re-entering the United States within 5 years of a self-deportation at the border. But you made it into America, but almost impossible with those facts to become legal. But you're in America now. So how did you meet your husband?
Well, it was 2000. We both were working out at the gym, so we met there. He was in the reserves. So we started dating for a year, and then we got married in 2001.
How was life going? You had 2 children. Your husband started a business. How was it here in Florida, especially living out of status and living as a person who had re-entered the United States after prior deportation?
I mean, I didn't know that I had a deportation because, like I say, I didn't know what I signed in 1998. Life was okay, sir, because before 9/11, it wasn't as hard to move around if you don't have documents. I was able to get a job. I did have a driver's license.
How did you get a driver's license?
Because all you needed back there before 9/11 was to have a Mexican passport.
That was it, and they would give it to you.
Yes.
So you were able to get along, but you didn't have a social.
Yeah, I didn't have a social note till 2013.
And how did you get a social in 2013?
Well, that's when the police stopped me because I was driving, and they say that I look suspicious, which means I look Mexican.
Yeah, I don't understand what suspicious looks like, but okay.
Well, in the county that I live in Florida, it's
it was a white, right.
So it's a lot of Donald Trump supporters. So they stopped me, and I asked them why they stopped me. They never actually the judge dropped that ticket because it wasn't just
because it was an illegal stop.
Correct.
Right.
So I was taken to jail for like a few hours, 5 or 6. They noticed that I didn't have a criminal record, and they pretty much just let me go. And then ICE came to my house like 10 days after, and they say that I had a deportation.
Right.
I was like, no, I didn't. I'm like, what is that? Thanks to President Obama, they put me on something called order of supervision.
Right. She had to check in every 6 months or a year, but they weren't doing anything with you.
Actually, it was better because
you got a work permit and a social, right? You got a work permit and social.
So I was very happy. Yes.
Right. And you had no idea that you were going to get deported. You thought actually life was okay.
No, neither my husband or I, because see, that's why he voted for Donald Trump. If he knew that he was going to deport people like me, I can assure you he wouldn't vote for him. Because he says, Alejandra, every time we go to your check-ins, your deportation officer says, Miss Alejandra, don't worry, you don't have criminal record, you're not a priority, you're not a criminal, so you're fine. After Mr. Trump won, and then my deportation officer, he was a very nice guy. He says, Alejandra, things have changed. Now we have a new president, and you might have to go. And I was like, are you serious? I mean, I'm like, I don't have a criminal record. I've been compiling with everything you said. I mean, why?
You have 2 U.S. citizen children. You have a U.S. citizen spouse who served honorably in the military.
Yes, and he was very sorry. ICE has been really good to me, I have to say, prior to this. They treat me with respect until the end. So he pretty much said, well, try to do something. He said, why don't you try to get a private bill? And I was told it's nearly impossible to get a private bill. So
that is
guess
true.
What I did get a private bill. I came back with my private bill and say, here you go. He looked at me and he was like, oh my God, this lady actually did what I told her.
Right.
So he told me to go back 10 days after, and he's like, this is not good anymore.
But if you got a private bill, what a private bill is that a congressman stands up and he makes a law and he says Alejandra should get a green card. And it gets voted on by all of Congress and the president has to sign it. So when you say you had a private bill, you may have had a private bill, but it never actually passed into being a law.
So, yeah, there is a bill, but it hasn't been signed.
It hasn't been passed, correct?
Correct, because they didn't give me time.
Have you spoken to your congressman about this bill? Does he know that you're deported, or she?
Oh yes, my congressman was at the airport when I was deported
and what does he say he's going to do, if anything?
Well, Mr. Darren Soto, that's my congressman. He said he's going to do whatever is in his power to fight for me to bring me back.
So you stayed at home when you were back in the United States. You were a stay-at-home mom?
My husband has a business, so I was helping him with his business too.
Okay, you're with your younger daughter. Why is your older daughter with your husband?
I asked her many times. She doesn't want to leave her dad by himself. She says it'll be too depressing for him to be by himself. And also, she doesn't speak Spanish, neither the little one. And she's a teenager. She thinks people are going to make fun of her because she doesn't speak Spanish and she looks Mexican.
From the time that ICE said you're leaving the country, did they put you on a plane? Did they hold you in detention? Take me through that process.
They never hold me in detention, but they never put me the ankle bracelet as well. That's something that I appreciate. They pretty much told me you have two options: either leave by yourself, we're going to give you a date that you have to depart, or we're going to,
arrest you. And you had to meet somebody from ICE there to confirm that you were leaving the country.
Correct.
I understand your husband, he's not doing well with all of this. Is that correct?
No, he's not doing well.
And you're not doing well. How are the kids holding up?
My oldest daughter, out of the four of us, she's the one that's having the hard time. I'm looking for a therapist that she can go to because she's really having a hard time being.
So I understand your husband wrote a letter to Donald Trump. Did he ever get a response?
He wrote it to him. He wrote it to DeSantis, the congressman that's running for governor. He never got an answer.
Before we get to your blog, what is your biggest hope? Try to come back to the United States of America.
Every day I'm still waiting for the phone call that says, guess what? Your miracle came, you can go back. Every day I pray to God and I'm like, God, today is going to be the day that I'm going to hear from someone saying, you're welcome.
Yeah, the reason, and for those out there who are wondering why can't your husband just re-sponsor you now, because you were ordered deported, and then you re-entered the United States after a prior deportation, and that there's no waiver for that, and you can't be filed that way. So the only way is by a private bill that passes into a law. And by the way, Donald Trump has to sign it.
Yes.
You started a blog, Finding Hope After Deportation, and you're one of the communications aide for an organization called American Families United, advocating the return of due process rights back into the immigration system, which it desperately needs. Does it help to work on something that's going to enlighten people about how devastating the plight of people who are deported without any criminal record being separated from their families? Does it give you any sort of solace in what happened, or not really?
Not really. No.
How do you feel about your husband? He fought for this country. He put his life on the line. He could have been killed for the United States of America. And for him to come back and the United States of America to say, you have no right to live with the woman you love, the mother of your children. We're going to destroy your family.
I call it the biggest slap on the face, okay? Because he fought for that country 3 times, sir. And look what they did to him. I feel sorry for him more than I feel sorry for myself. Because every time that I have to say bye to him when he comes to see me, he's a strong man. I never see him cry except when my oldest daughter was born, and he cries. He cries because he misses his little one, and he misses me. And I look at him last night when we were talking, and he looks very, he looks older. He looks deteriorated. It's the biggest betray, honestly. I know I did something wrong, and I'm not trying to justify in any shape or form. But I don't have a criminal record, sir, and I try to be the best.
The punishment doesn't fit the crime.
You got it. Yes. So the question that I ask myself every day is: the United States safest because a stay-at-home mom that helped her husband build a business over there and pay taxes? Is it safest because I'm not there?
No, it's less safe. It would be more safe if you were in America, because there would be a family that is together, that doesn't have any sort of trauma and psychological and emotional issues. It would be a safer United States of America. By deporting you, they have made everybody in America a little less safe.
I actually have some friends that were Republicans. They tell me, you know what, I'm no longer Republican, I'm no longer Donald Trump supporter because I know you as a person. How could they separate this family?
What happens is it's very easy to say in the abstract, deport the aliens. They're the cause of my problems. The people who are most adamant about deporting people have never really had a relationship with somebody from another country. There is nothing a lawyer can do unless the law changes. It is a political situation now, not a legal situation. It's a political situation in the sense that Congress has to pass a bill to allow Alejandra to come back to America, or she will be in Mexico for life, or certainly for 20 years. So you've asked for some financial assistance. It's on a fundraising site called Patreon, where professionals get donations to work towards their goals. And you've asked for help with rent and financial assistance to go to law school. What is it that you wish to accomplish by going to law school?
I want to help people. If I can avoid someone going through the pain that I'm going through, which is tremendous, I want to do that.
You deserve to come back. I hope that Congress passes a law. I hope this doesn't happen to other people. I could understand wanting to deport a person who killed somebody or a rapist, absolutely. But I certainly want to be a neighbor with a loving mother who raises two beautiful children.
I know God is still in control. I'm a very religious person, but I'm still hoping that I can go back because my family needs me. My family needs to be together because my kids are becoming broke. I was a broken child, and that's what I made so many bad choices. And I don't want my kids to be broken.
Hopefully we can check on you and see how you're doing and how the political process is doing. Alejandra Juarez, I wish you the best of luck to you, your daughters, your husband, and we all pray for your safe return.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.